Well, hello and welcome back to All My Art and Soul with Michelle Holden, the mixed media artist behind this channel. And as I've said before, and maybe not as clearly, this channel is all about exploring, playing, and discovering with using mixed media and abstract, of course, and learning to use intuitive layers, an intuitive approach to the art elements, and just letting yourself go, letting things happen by responding to what's there so that you are in the present moment. And then at the end, or in different intervals and stages, you can go back in and after you make a few decisions and intentions. That is the long process. If you are taking what you're learning, using this intuitive mixed media layering process in an art journal, which I find and have found has been a really safe, secure, and fun place to explore, play, and discover. And it also is an art process that can help you discover your own authentic art, which I found is being used a lot, but it's true. It's your true art. Just using the elements and principles, non-representative, or whatever you want to call it. And that's what my art journey has been about. So if this resonates with you, please come along and join the journey. And so this week, I am still exploring blue. And I just love blue. The different blues that you can get from, there's so many different colors. I use a combination of Liquitex, what's it called? Liquitex Basic and the Liquitex Basic Acrylic Fluid. And it's a really great product for art journaling. Of course, I love golden. And I used to purchase TriArt. Now, I believe TriArt is a Canadian brand, and I found a store, not near me because I live way out in where there's no stores. We have to travel. And I think this art store has that brand, so I'm going to check that out. So what art brands, paint brands do you like? Do you find you're ready to use? Because I have found in the past when we're using expensive, more higher end paint, it can make us more reluctant to let go and be free because of the expenses. So what I'm discovering is the use of simple materials and not going and buying all the art materials that you think you need. I know and have learned from some other mentor artists that you can use and can start with what you have around the house. Now, last week, I showed you my newest oil pastels, which are water soluble. So they go farther. And then to seal them, I believe, you still use a medium. I like to you can use gloss or matte, this fluid medium. It's a little more fluid. And you can also use this for putting down your collage that's very thin, like deli paper, tracing paper, tissue paper. And then, of course, for the thicker, I use a super heavy gel, and it comes in, Liquitex has it, Golden has it, but I found this works just as well, and it's from my Michaels store. So this week, as you can see, I'm trying not to grab too many pieces of collage, and I love how the lime goes with the blue, so it's very summery, considering the contrasting weather that's on its way in our Canadian season. So I made some new papers with this is the deli paper that I ordered. Its size is just a 10 by slightly over 10. And I know there's probably a larger, if not, I'm just starting to explore, and I love them. They're so translucent and yet strong. And that's what this is. This is Cerulean Blue. I think it's right out of the bottle on my jelly plate printer. And you can see I love these cracks and lines that happen when you put it down. It's not perfect, but I love imperfection. Also a little lighter with some dots. Those dots were made with a clay tool. And then a ghost print from my hexagon stencil on top of the jelly plate. And those are the 3 transparent pieces because my process is all about building transparent layers on just learning sequencing and putting them on and seeing what happens. And it's amazing. If you haven't checked out my last little series of how to be more productive and create a mini series of 5x7s, go check that out. I will leave the card in the upper right hand corner. I believe they come in. And I'm going to be, after this, starting a blue series. The same approach. Maybe I'll change up the sequencing. And that's why I use an art journal. I'm not an art journal for the end product. I use it to explore the process, and then take the journal to smaller pieces and then gradually to much larger, at least that's the goal down the road. So if this resonates with you, this other part, please don't forget to like and subscribe. I have a Facebook group as well. The link and all of the other links on my Instagram and everything, and I are in the comments section below the video. And I am in the middle of a course right now. I don't know if you've heard it, I might as well say it. Build It Remarkable with Kelly Wynn. And we're going to see where that goes. So I've not created a course yet. I've just been focusing on my journey and sharing it with you on my YouTube channel. But now it's time to start creating some courses, more official tutorials. So as you can see, so if you're new here, sorry to jump around. If you're new here, welcome. Welcome to my channel. And subscribers, thank you so much. Those of you who have been on this journey with me for a while. It's been a wonderful journey, and I do want to keep growing this channel and moving forward. And I hope you do so with me. Here is another wonderful piece. And I keep saying I've got to go buy some nice colored tissue paper because just by doing that, you can see the potential that it has. stenciling, the plan. I choose some, don't always use all of them. Some corrugated cardboard, the bubble wrap, the small, and I like to press it down just in a certain way. And I think that's all I need to show you. I'm going to move my stenciling back. And in my process, I've discovered that I like to follow different sequences. So in that little mini series that I've told you about, that was a couple of weeks, and I think it was part 1 to part 3 or 4. And I explored with putting gesso first, marks second, or marks, and it does really affect the work. And I like to use, this is a key part, is the transparent mixing white from Liquitex, or any kind of fluid white. But what I've discovered is when you use the color shaper, you can really control the amount of veiling over the previous layer. So that's what I'll be talking about or showing you. Now this video, I plan to just do a little bit of narration and tell you about what I'm going to do. Then I'm going to stop talking and let you watch. And then if there's a certain part that I need to talk about, doing a think aloud, of course, I will do so. So let's just see what happens. So I will just tell you the steps that I'm going to start with. I love to start with the subtle marks, pencil, or China marker, and maybe some water-soluble graphite. And these I like to put early in so that they show up through the transparent layers, but they're way, way back. And it really adds the subtlety, which is a very important part of the interesting, the small conversations, the big conversations. There's all sorts of ways to say it, but that's what I'm starting with. And then I come in with some white layers, thin, and then I like to come in with some high contrast using stencils. And I have a lot, but you can use stamping. I'll just demonstrate the different ways, and then coming in with some more transparent, and then putting my collage. So let's see what happens. And as you are watching me respond to the marks, shapes, layers that I'm creating, I'll just do a voiceover. So I love to start with pencil because I really love those marks in the background. And I think what I'll do in the future, I'll make a note for this page, is to experiment with the types of marks that I make. I use pencil and China marker and decided not to use the water-soluble graphite. So these are my new water-soluble oil pastels, which are very different when you think oil, and then they're water-soluble, so you can choose to use them with water or not. And I chose to use just a little bit of water to give a wash, and wouldn't that be a great idea to use as finishing marks with glazing? So I'm going to make a note of that. What do you think? What are your favorite mark making tools? So each layer I like to dry so it doesn't interfere with the next one. And I think in all there's about 7 or so layers on this page. I didn't want to go further, but I know in the future I will and can. depending on then coming in with a totally opaque layer, but only in a section of the painting, or if I don't like something, or if something's not working, or accentuating focus. So we'll see what happens. So here's that transparent white from Liquitex. And as you can see, I used my color shaper to skim off more from the top and the brayer as a lifter. That isn't all. So you can refer to the list of materials, but anything that you have at home is what I said at the beginning of this video. Older knitting needles, any interesting tool, old screwdrivers, anything. So here's the corrugated cardboard that I've had and been using for a long time. So it's built up a really nice layer of paint, and I know that it will leave an interesting mark, but I need to put enough paint on it. And these vertical marks are quite thick, so they have a texture, and that's why it takes me a few minutes to dry them. And I'm really liking this area. I also used the corrugated cardboard in a vertical form. And then I decided to use, instead of my usual stencils, the diamonds or whatever, I just wanted to crop off these large letters. And I'm always looking for other letters so I can, these would be also good for canvas. And I usually go from my art journal pages to 5x7s to 8x10s, but I like to do a series of smalls. If I've discovered a sequence of mixed media layers that I really like, and that's where I take my work and moving it out of or on, to a series of abstract small paintings on paper. And also, I've done the same with using like a grid, initial grid format on wood panel, where you have them really close together, then you do all your initial marks. It's just, it works best that way, I think, in my opinion, because you take your marks off the edge, so it looks like it continues, and they're very open, rather than working in a small, tight, one at a time, 5x7, you're working on a large sheet, which is all taped off. And I found the yellow tape works really well, unless you're going to pencil out everything. And it takes some time to set up your page, but it's really worth it in the end for the clean edges. So if you haven't checked out the last series I did, please do. I'm leaving it in a card. So as you can see, the brayer really lifts well, and I'm using an eyeglass cleaner bottle because the mist is very thin, and especially using paper. So then I'm drying that surface because I don't want that to smear. So that is another layer. So each attempt at whatever you use is considered a layer, even though you're not covering the whole thing. want that. Mm. Mm. That's very interesting. Here, here, here. You like that? Hmm. Very interesting. Okay. Let's do it right on the top. Let's make it a little brighter. Okay. I would use large. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what I'm doing now is changing the scale. I guess it's scale. It's more of the difference of the horizontal areas so that none are so close or the same. And that's what was going on with this transparent hexagon piece, where a lot of it was great. It looked good up there, but I don't want it on the top. I love to go to guide the viewer's eye from the bottom up and then around. And it seems to need to go right here, as it's beautifully transparent, and it'll become more transparent as I add more medium to it. And yet the remaining area or section or horizontal area is still different from it. So let's see. So it becomes just slightly more transparent when I add a top layer of heavy gel gloss. Now, knowing this, I don't like it to get too wet, because when I'm using an X-Acto knife, trimming the edge, because when I lift the tape, it will tear. There we go. Okay, really liking that effect. Now, this is my first time using big pieces of the deli paper as collage, and I'm loving it. Not having a lot of tearing issues, but I really love, now see, there's the bubbling there happening with the what do you call it, tissue paper. Now, I've purchased the artist tissue paper, but I have not used it in a video yet. So I want to make some fresh new collage paper with it and then do a demonstration video. So there's a bubble here. I'm going to attempt to slice it open. Now, you do that with your, with your more hardy collage. Hardy, that's sort of a silly word to use, but thicker collage paper. But I'm just trying to get that air bubble out of there. It's working a little bit. I don't mind some air bubbles, but I don't like them when I want the viewer's eye going in through this area and then they discover, oh, well, there's an air bubble. Well, of course. But that doesn't matter, because, as we know, this is your art journal. And this is where I'm exploring and using my art journal to discover sequences of layers for future paintings, or, to move on from here. Now notice how you can see those lines, but just barely, very subtly. And I love the green over the blue, over the corrugated vertical lines of the cardboard, over this, but leaving the white. So it's just a lot of overlapping. The more overlapping, but also leaving previous negative space on your substrate, will allow that amazing, just let shapes happen. And that's what I love to do. Now it seems to be, and I don't know if a piece, I think it will go. I like to tear my collage unless I'm using specific shapes. See, that's too much. It's too representative, but, ooh, that's looking good right in there. When I'm along the edge of the tape edge, I like to use my scissors. I'm really liking that effect, but I'm not going to glue it down yet because I'm not quite sure. I know I need something here to balance it out, and it's going to be in black and white. So, not sure I want this whole piece as so much. No. Square 3 is working. This is, I don't even know what this is. I think this is tissue paper. I'm loving that. Okay. Wasn't planning that. You see how things can just, it knows where it needs to go. And it's transparent. And it just melts. So you don't even see the edges of that tissue paper. They just disappear. Love that. Now I'll remove that. It looks better. Maybe something with just the color, and that's why I like using abstract. Doesn't need to look like anything. I love symmetrical, asymmetrical. Nope. That's looking cool, but I don't like the shape. I'm loving this piece. Interesting. Maybe we'll go bold. Yes. Okay. What kind of shape? Let's just tear one. See what happens. This is just an old envelope. Love those birthday envelopes and the bright colors. They make great collage. Don't like how that's tearing, so I have some more. And maybe we will have a cut shape. I know I tend to like to put shapes across. I don't know if I want that this time. Since we have a really large shape, I'm going to go with a really small shape. And you know what? No, it's not working. It ruins it. It's too much like I've done before, and I don't like to do that. Okay, so something's telling me it's time to use some other paint in a different way. Or a very transparent piece, yes. So this is crafted paper. I like that, but I want to tear all the edges. And I think I want it more square. And see how the fibrous edges, they look so cool. And I want it very subtle. Now, do I want it down here? Or I do want it closer. I think closer. it's going to disappear. So something's there. So then I react to that. I'm going, I'm wondering. So I'm going to dry that. No. So I love these, but this time, instead of using black, I want to use them with white. Now I usually use a makeup sponge. That I purchased at the dollar store. Here they are. And this is dried, so I'm not going to worry about that. And you want to make sure your sponge is only damp at the most, because now this is the liquid. And when I'm using this particular stencil, I don't want it to bleed. And I'm just going to go across. I can tell that it's going to bleed. So let's test that. Oh, just slightly, so that's not bad. And I want to just go across horizontally. And these will turn out better because there's less paint. Well, a little bit of, oh, that's okay. It's sort of cool. Okay, we're going to leave that. I don't want to fill up the whole area. I want some of those hexagons left. And I love that up top. But I still might veil the ones at the side. Okay, maybe too much. So I have a damp cloth to lift that up a bit, or erase it totally. I think I like them the way they are, and that's great that that dried. Then I can wipe it if I want to change something around. So I'm almost done. I think I just want to leave it with some line. And in total, if you notice the time on this video, it's only been 30 minutes, and a lot of it was me talking. So it's incredible how little time you need to just explore, play, and discover. Now, I love the marks I use. I know that in other art journaling pages that I do, not on camera, for now anyway, maybe in my future course that's coming, I'm going to push myself to explore more and expand. So white is okay there. We might need a punch of color. To emphasize the green, maybe. That's it. Maybe. That's it. And I really don't want to add too much more, because that's what I'm finding. I'm trying to have enough quiet voice and expressive, busy areas, sort of a balance. And I really love how this top part is looking with the lines underneath that layer. But as I love, and maybe in the future I won't do this all the time, but I love to finish off just with a little bit of a splash. To accentuate any of the black. And that's it. So let's dry and remove the tape. Oh. Okay, so that's it. So I'm loving this little bit of green up here. It does definitely move the eye up. And that's what I do. Sort of at the end, I just take a look, gentle, not over-criticizing. And I'm going to call this one Exploring Transparent Layers. That seems to be my thing, these layers. Transparent blue layers. Okay. And then I'll show you on the opposite side in my book on this, which is last week's video. This is where I'll put my notes to talk about that. So one of the things is, I'm going to say, love the transparency. And I need more interesting. Transparent, I'll just say transparent collage with the new papers that I've got and deli wrap. I couldn't think of it there for a minute. And anything else. So I'm loving the pencil line, the China marker. You can see a lot more, but you can still see the subtle pencil lines behind. And it's just marks. And then I might explore different ways, different marks, using different tools. So as you can see, it's very, it has so much opportunity to evolve. And that's this week's page. So I hope you like, share, and subscribe. If you're new here, welcome. Hop on over to the Facebook group, and that's where we share our art journaling pages with each other and more. So I will see you in the next video.